Hey guys, my first video got cut short. This app actually only lets me do videos of 5 minutes. So this is just picking up where the first video left off. And we were on this question right here that I have highlighted. What are some features of the economy that you see? And I was mentioning the factory workers and the factory itself and kind of mass producing some type of materials. We're not exactly sure what, but you can tell that this is quite the operation, probably quite a few workers on the inside. You can see quite a few on the outside. All right, we'll move on to this next question. What types of transportation do you see? The thing that jumps out to probably most of us is these boats that are coming in and out. The use of waterways was much more common in the north than it was the south. These were faster to ship products on the rivers and major waterways in the north than it would be to carry something on land. Also, if this is a factory that's producing anything made of metal, you guys know metal is pretty heavy, right? So to transport that on land, especially in the 1800s, would have been very slow, and it would have taken a lot of power. So on water and by boat, it makes things like that much easier. Then this last question says, how would you describe the society or way of life here? If I were to describe it, some words that I would use would be maybe up tempo, fast paced, working, obviously, just stuff like that. That's kind of how I would describe this picture. We're going to move on to the next one on the next slide. This image shows a plantation in Mississippi. So Mississippi is in the south, whereas the previous image we looked at was of Pennsylvania in the north. So the first question says, what are some features of the geography that you see? Well, right off the bat, physical geography, not very mountainous at all. Pretty flat land is what I would say. In the background, you can see some vegetation, whereas there wasn't really a whole lot in the previous picture. Human geography, you see workers. Actually, these are slaves on a plantation, as we're going to be talking about. Though they were the number one source of labor across much of the South. This next question says, what are some features of the economy that you see? I already mentioned, but slave labor, if you look closely, it looks like they are in a field, perhaps cotton, some type of agricultural raw material that the slaves are working. They are loading onto these carriages. This person over here looks to have a basket on their head to be putting the cotton into. So, anyways, this is the raw materials that are being harvested at this time on this plantation. Next question says, what types of transportation do you see? Well, in the front of the picture, you can see this wagon, which is probably being used for work on the plantation. Probably wouldn't be moving that fast, especially with this much of a load on it. And in the very background, you can see a steamship in the far back. So it's very hard to see in the river or whatever body of water it's on is pretty difficult to see as well. However, that would be another method of transportation. The last question says, how would you describe the society or way of life here? And if you recall the first picture, I said fast moving, up tempo. This picture looks to be a little more relaxed, laid back. There's not, boats that are coming and going. Well, there is a boat, but there's only one of them. It doesn't look like things are moving quite as fast as they are in the north. And then obviously, what kind of takes the main centerpiece is the use of labor in the form of slaves, whereas in the first picture, there were no slaves pictured; those were just factory workers. So keep those things in mind as we move forward here, just looking at the main differences. Okay, so only have 30 seconds left. Whoops. Just a couple things. This slide says the geographies, economies, types of transportation, and societies varied greatly between the North and the South in the mid 1800s. In this lesson, you will explore how these factors led to different ways of life in the North and in the South. So I only have about 10 seconds left. Hopefully these videos are useful for you guys. I hope you are all doing well, and I hope to hear from you soon.